Welcome to another episode of Coach's Corner, where we spend some time talking about the impact coaches have on the lives of human beings, which is an awesome topic. You know, it's not just skills development and technique and talent, it's the mental game as well. So joining us today is Kirsten Penaloza. She's a CX executive over 13 years, brand new partner to SymTrain. So we're excited about that partnership, Kirsten. And she's got some really great news to share about her career, where she's following her passion right now around coaching and really finding her path on a consultative basis to really emphasize professional development and coaching. And so, welcome to the show, Kirsten. Maybe a quick introduction.
Thank you, Dan. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm also very excited about our new partnership, and even more so about the new adventure that I am embarking on, which is building my own consulting and coaching firm or agency. I'm right now just by myself, but I'm following truly the passion of coaching. It has been a transformation in my life, especially as I embarked on being a leader and being responsible for other people's careers. And so coaching has been part of my own development. And now I am excited to make that just part of my continuous journey.
Awesome. We'll jump right in there. I know you had a lot of really cool career moves going all the way to some very senior high level executive positions in the CX, which for those of you listening, CX just stands for customer experience and contact center operations, where Kirsten and I both spend a lot of our time and moving countries, international moves. So, Kirsten, in your experience, what do you think separates a good coach from a great coach, especially in today's workplace?
In my own experience, I've experienced also different kind of coaches, and I've had more success in being developed and feeling understood with those who use storytelling in their approach. Quite often, I felt stuck, or they just a good coach is excellent in asking the right questions and good questions. A great coach, in my opinion, though, goes a little bit beyond that. They use storytelling, metaphors, they use their own anecdotes and experiences to tell a story about a certain situation that then makes it easier for me to relate to. And I use that in my own coaching too. So really picking from those moments, those relatable experiences from others, either my own or other people, and then share them with my coachees. That's what makes an excellent coach because they use multiple tools and they expand a little bit further than just the coaching framework that we're taught to use.
No, I love it. I love integrating stories, right? And being able to tell stories as you're working with folks, because then you're making that personal one-to-one connection that makes so much of a difference because you do have to build trust and with the folks that you're working with if you're going to be able to coach them and help them break through some plateaus. And talking about breaking through, professionals go through slumps, right? Just like athletes, right? And people struggle at certain times. It doesn't mean they're wrong. There might be just something they got to break through. What kind of strategies do you teach the leaders that you work with to really help those people reset when they're feeling stuck and they're getting overwhelmed to really get to that next level? What are some of the strategies, Kirsten, that you share?
I would start by exploring the why. Why do they feel the way they do? And I would actually differentiate between feeling stuck and overwhelmed. For me, feeling stuck is more about having lost perspective, purpose, maybe, or they've hit a certain growth ceiling or plateaued. Whereas overwhelmed sounds to me a bit more like that's an external issue, maybe unrealistic expectations or an unhealthy work environment. And so really exploring where exactly is that feeling coming from. And then from there, finding the footing again. Is it because we lost perspective or motivation or purpose? Then reconnecting with our core values, our passions. Why are we here to begin with? And has anything changed? Have I evolved, right? Like helping my coachee figure out those questions. And then from there, really finding out, okay, what is the next path? Is it finding growth resources, or is it maybe sometimes finding a new opportunity somewhere else where they can have the growth and the development they're seeking? And if it's overwhelmed, that I would actually look into how can I help my coachee find the system issue behind that overwhelm and then target that with clear coaching and sometimes even a little bit of mentoring if it's helpful. Like again, like mentoring comes in where we have a storytelling moment. But I would say really like understanding the why. And then from there, building to understand what are my core values, my purpose, my mission, what I do want to achieve in my life, and then connecting it to the outcome and the solution that we're seeking.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what's kind of neat about what you said is, when you find the why, you're kind of helping the people you're working with realize what their why is as well, right? Because you're coaching them and guiding them through, what's meaningful, what they care about, right? Which is really grounding in that why, I think is awesome. I thought it was also funny. I think you were basically at some point in your answer sharing that sometimes you can coach people into alternate occupations or alternate jobs. Is that part of your manager skills coming out in how you're phrasing finding the right resource for the right job?
Absolutely. I have experienced it myself. I have pivoted careers multiple times, and I
Yeah.
would never just get into the mindset of like, okay, now I studied this or I went to college for this. Now that I have to do this for the rest of my life. We can reinvent ourselves all the time. And part of my leadership style, but also coaching style, is to allow people to actually dream beyond what they are told to be, or they believe themselves that that's what they have to be. And so, especially in CX, we see it where I mean, no one goes to college to do client experience jobs or a customer support job, right? Like, at least not that
Yeah.
I've heard of. But we get into this job and then we think that's the only thing out there. And for me, it's like, all right, what are you passionate about? What do you love doing? Where do you see yourself? And let's explore ways to actually get you there. And that can be transferred to any coaching session. I have worked with coachees who were VP of sales but wanted to actually do engineering. It's like, okay, let's find a way to get you there. And they have done it, they achieve it because they understand that what they have been doing doesn't really define them for the rest of their lives. And so, yeah, for me, it's really about pivoting, having a growth mindset, and just really being flexible and adaptable with yourself, not just with your work environment.
That's great. As you were talking, there was two things that kept popping up into my head, which were early mentoring opportunities for me when I learned as a young manager a couple things, motivating people, getting them to find their drive, and then also even having to let go of some folks, right? So a mentor once told me, "Hey Dan, you're not letting go of somebody, you're basically coaching them into the right position." I was like, wow, that's an awesome way to think about it because they're not in the position that's making them happy. And I was talking to one of my folks on my team early on, and we were talking about a skill that she needed to develop. And she just kept looking me in the eye and saying, Dan, I'm going to focus on what's in my control versus what's outside of my control and what I can control. And I said, are you reading a book or something? Or do you have a coach you're working with? She goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, I am. I really want to get better. And I am reading a book on this, and that's the chapter I'm on. So that was really fun, Kirsten. Just thinking back to those times. Hey, so as we look to transform and you moving from CX, right? And there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of new tools in the CX space, and moving to consultative and helping people understand some of that technology, and they even how to deliver it in a CX work environment. There's a lot of analytics, there's a lot of feedback, there's performance technologies, there's learning management, knowledge management. So what parallels do you see between some modern coaching and what the techniques and tools people are using to really create a more of a data-driven coaching or a data-driven training and mentoring work environment?
So there's the parallel that in coaching, we bring self-awareness to the coachee, to the person that we're coaching, for them to then change certain behaviors, patterns, or develop certain skill sets. And so the parallel is that data now can make something a bit more quantifiable and less subjective. It can help me as a coach or as a leader to actually prove my gut feeling or challenge me on my assumptions, right? Now it's not just me kind of trying to tell them where to go. It's like this is the data that I'm using. But more than a parallel, I actually see them as complementary. Data now can give me so many data points to learn about a person. I can identify trends. I can quantify those more like qualitative moments of performance that's not just like a number, it's a behavior. And so technology, AI, all the tools that we're now seeing for performance management, people management, learning, professional development can all feed into coaching and help a coach and a leader to actually then see not just the data, but then as that's where kind of the complementary part comes in, see behind that and see the human being. And then we can actually dive deep into those conversations with the managee or the coachee and help them in their performance, in their behavioral changes, and building those skill sets. So there's a little bit of the parallel, but more for me, it's a bit more the complementing each other that's exciting.
No, I think that's great. I mean, people are always talking about AI today, right? AI agents that are replacing humans, AI companions that are supporting humans and helping them get better. But it's basically what it is. It's just a new technology that's in the work stream that people are using to get to better outcomes and better results. And sometimes the technology goes in the wrong direction, right? Especially if you use it wrong. I love the fact that you said, we got quantifiable data now that's helping me get better aligned. One of the things, the users of SymTrain really like is the managers go in and when they're working with their agents, right, and they're coaching them in their one-on-one sessions, they're looking at production data and SymTrain data and using that as a guide to help get them through to better outcomes versus being the person giving that feedback and opinion, right? And you're taking some of that, assessment and scoring out of the equation now. You're making that more quantifiable, more factual basis and tying in more of that, support and guidance to continuous improvement, which is the human element. And you mentioned getting to know people and making that deeper connection. And
Yeah.
Kirsten, I'm curious, right? As you make this transition, and I mentioned AI, making a big hit everywhere, right? Corporate learning is a big area. Continuous coaching and development, another one that we're super excited about. What about you? What excites you most about AI as it relates to employee development and supporting that journey for employees?
Yeah, I would say I'm most excited that AI is making learning and access to resources so much more. Yeah, it's easier. It's almost like democratizing the self-driven learning, and I have now access to that, and it's being delivered to me in a way that I understand. It can tailor it to my personality, to my interest, to what I want to learn more, and so it's almost like my personal assistant for coaching and professional development. So I think AI can really give us the access and the tool to to have that self-driven learning. Now, I think that it's almost like a personal assistant where I can just say, I need this, or I'm curious about that, or break down this for me. And I
Yeah.
have never seen this before, and I am so excited. I use AI all day long, and I have been using AI even for myself and my own development, even before the whole ChatGPT hype. So AI for me has been crucial, especially being from a multicultural background. English is my third language, and so having had AI for the past over 10 years, Grammarly specifically, has helped me develop my vocabulary and my tone, refine my communication skills. And if we can harness the power of AI for all the good reasons, and then use a human coach with the more emotional, intelligent part, I think we have a powerful combination. Just relying on AI, I think that's a little bit dangerous. And I also think that's not realistic. But I think when we combine both, we're unstoppable and teams can be unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our clients, I love her. She makes up words just like I do, right? And I told her we used to call those mechanisms when I was growing up. But she said, "Oh, you know what AI is, Dan, right?" I'm like, "What?" She goes, "It's my assistant instructor. That's what AI is. It's my assistant instructor." And Kirsten, you mentioned that two or three times in your answer, right? It's that personal assistant that's helping me like take ownership, and that's the beauty of it, right? So as an individual, I can go as far as I want, and I can use that AI companion or that AI support to get this self-guided learning. That's fantastic. I think in your journey, right, whether it's your career journey, personal journey, has there been a mentor or a coach, someone in your life that has significantly changed your trajectory or even your view on coaching, Kirsten?
Yes, there are a few, but one that comes to mind has been or was my coach for 4 years, Chris Saunders. She coached me when I just had become a leader. And I had made a lot of mistakes with previous teams because I didn't have mentors, I didn't have good leaders as role models and a coach. And so in the early stages of my leadership journey, I reached out and asked for an executive coach. She truly taught me the foundations of human-centered leadership, like what I call human-centered leadership, based on kindness, where kindness is not being nice, but where kindness is caring about the people that you lead. You care about them not just as employees, not just because you want them to perform well and have high excellence in their performance. I have high standards, but understanding how I actually can hold them accountable, how I can challenge them and support them in ways that they feel seen and they feel supported and understood. And Chris helped me with defining that human-centered leadership style that I have now, and also taught me how to be a good communicator. She was one of the few people that said, like, you have to connect the dots for your people. You have to tell them the why. Why is what they're doing important for the client, for the company, for the business, connected to what they're passionate about. And so truly, I would say I owe a big part of my success in leadership and coaching to her, and I owe her 100% my love and passion for coaching. I don't think I would have wanted to become a coach myself if it wouldn't be for her.
All right, Chris Saunders. So thanks, Chris Saunders, for creating a dedicated, passionate coach. And it's really cool when you talk about someone who's, pretty much dedicating their future career to an occupation and calling you out as the impact you made on their life. That's pretty meaningful. A little funny secret is I learned that same thing, right? Hey, Dan, you have to care about your people. So I was teaching myself to care early on, right? And I was trying to figure out ways I could care more. And then eventually it just dawned on me, like, all you need to do is literally just authentically care. Like, you got to just want them to be successful and care about their outcomes. Like, well, it was so much easier than trying to do it from a book or academically learn to care more for your folks. It's so funny how sometimes the best answer is the easiest path.
And it's not just that, it's caring about developing them and helping them to be the best versions of themselves,
Yeah,
whether it's at work or not. Like for me, it's like if I can see them become a successful employee, but also see them become a better human being because they're learning better communication skills, they're learning leadership skills, they're learning emotional intelligence, how to cope in times of stress or pressure. I think that's the beauty of good human-centered leadership. It's not just that I care about you and then I'm done. It's like, no, I,
right.
I care about you to the extent that I really want you to have an amazing life and just show up for the best version just for yourself. Because when you are the best for yourself, everybody else around you will benefit. It's a
Yeah,
business concept,
genuine.
in my opinion.
Right? It's crazy. It's genuine and authentic. I love it. So Kirsten, this was fun. Fun getting to know you a little bit closer. I really appreciate your perspective on coaching and some of the ideas you shared with our audience today. As we end it, you anything from maybe a favorite book or favorite movie or both that you'd want to share with the audience?
You know, there's so many amazing leadership books out there. One of the biggest or main things that I also had to learn as a leader is how to inspire and connected then to the why, but then also connected to developing them to be those amazing versions of themselves. So there's I would say a lot of the great people out there, from Simon Sinek
Right.
to Even Ted Lasso. I mean, Ted Lasso is one of my favorite shows, and I actually watched Ted Lasso from a leadership perspective, from how we make mistakes to how we recover from those mistakes as leaders and how to be best leaders. From there, I actually have the concept of, yeah, I want people to be the best versions of themselves on and off the field. Right? It's like not just
Right.
at work, but also in their lives. And so I would say if someone really just wants to have a good time and a fun time, watch Ted Lasso and write down all the leadership nugget lessons that there are, and you will have just not only fun time but also an amazing little notebook of wisdom.
Awesome. I love how you tied both in the book from the Finding Your Why from Simon Sinek and Ted Lasso from a show around coaching. That's fantastic. So I think you heard it here from Kirsten, right? If you want to be a great coach, you got to care first off, and then be a good storyteller and find that narrative that's going to help people open up and enable them to find their why. Because I think, Kirsten, what you're telling us today is if I know my why, I my drive and my outcomes will come.
Always. And that translates to teams, leaders, anything. Like when you know your why and you have a purpose, the performance, engagement, everything will skyrocket and employee churn will go down. That's a guarantee.
Awesome, Kirsten. Well, we'll talk soon. I look forward to that, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dan.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.